Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Balaba Girivaradari. Jaya Gopijana Balaba Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Dila. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Asottara Sasasya Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivacharya Asottara Sasasya Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Grantharaj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru Gauranga Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today morning we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, entitled Hiranyakashipu Terrorizes the Universe. And today's text is number 3. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganura Anugraho Vibhu. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujito Sura Varyena. Pujito Sura Varyena. Stuya Manaha Prajeshware. Stuya Mana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujito Sura Varyena. Stuya Mana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoga Vibhu. Pujito Sura Varyena. Suyamana Padeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujito Sura Varyena. Suyamana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujito Surya Varyena. Suyamana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujito Surya Varyena. Suyamana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujita Surya Varyena. Suyamana Prajeshware. Tato Jagama Bhagavan. Amoganugraho Vibhu. Pujita Surya Varyena. Suyamana Vrajeshware. Word to word meaning. Tataha. Thereafter. Jagama. Departed. Bhagavan. The most powerful Lord Brahma. Amogha. Without failure. Anugraha. Whose benediction. Vibhuhu. The supreme within this universe. Pujita. Being worshipped. Asura Varyena. By the most exalted demon. Hiranyakashipu. Suyamanaha. Being praised. Puja Ishwarai. By many demigods, the masters of different region. Translation by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, being worshipped by the best of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, and being praised by great sages and saintly person. There is no purport. We'll read the next verse. Translation. The demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother, and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. Small purport. A demoniac person, in spite of acquiring all the opulence possible to obtain in this universe, continues to be envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Sakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyahevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Seeking the blessing of all assembled Vaishnavas. So here Hiranyakashipu wanted to become immortal, and then he went to the forest. Then he did some austerities, and he disturbed the whole universe. Then finally Brahma with other sages came down to see Hiranyakashipu, and then Hiranyakashipu was given the benediction, or what he wanted. I mean, in one sense, he didn't get what he wanted, but he had plan B, so he had that. He got somewhat close to what he wanted. And Hiranyakashipu offered a lot of prayers to Brahma. Last chapter we saw. And now Brahma fulfilled his desire. He is leaving. So Hiranyakashipu got the power, the position. So I was thinking to discuss what are the lessons we learned from Hiranyakashipu's story so far. So that will be the class today. So I've got this as a class, and I've got some headings on that. So first thing is desire. If you see, a dead body doesn't have desire, pretty much. everyone have a desire. The lesson is, you need to desire properly in this world. Because Hiranyakashipu, even though a greatest demon, in one sense, he got his desire fulfilled. So the Lord within the heart of every living entity as Paramatma, he fulfills the desire. In sense, somehow or other, he provides for every living entity. He is equal in that sense. So that's where we started this whole Bhagavatam. The Supreme Lord is equal to all. So one want to destroy the world, one want to protect the world, doesn't matter. The Lord as a Paramatma, he is there just as a witnessing everything, and is sanctioning all the desires of the living entities. So we need to learn how to desire properly. So this is one of the purport in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada writes that the whole Bhagavad Gita or the whole teachings or Krishna consciousness is to provide the humanity what kind of desire, what kind of activity they should perform. This is our kind of giving the knowledge. This basically removing the ignorance. Because most of that suffering comes from sense gratification. That sense gratification comes from ignorance or false identification with the body. So when one have the false identification with the body, which is the cause of ignorance, they try to cultivate material desires. And then when they fulfill the material desire, which is nothing but the sense gratification, they end up in suffering. This is nectar of devotion. You can see how this whole network of how one person getting suffering. So we need to have a proper desire. And especially, we need to cultivate spiritual desire in our life. So spiritual desire is basically that we need to establish a certain kind of relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. And we need to identify ourselves, we need to identify the Lord and the relationship. So this is bhakti, that we understand our position. In trying to understand the position of the Lord, we also understand our position. So God realization, which also includes self-realization. We don't separately endeavor to have self-realization, because when we are trying to understand Krishna, we understand ourselves better. And then we try to act in that relationship with Krishna. So that is very important. In case, if you desire something and you're not getting it, just in the case of Hiranyakashipu, that he want to become immortal, he had a plan which he understood, okay, I want to be immortal, I'm going through this. And finally what happened? He understood that, no, you're not deserving that. So sometimes we may desire, but we don't have qualification or adhikar, or maybe we don't have some substance or, karma or whatever it may be. We may not deserve that thing. So what to do in that case? So in that case, we should learn to accept the plan of the Lord and be satisfied what you got. So in that regard, one has to cultivate gratitude. If we don't have gratitude, we cannot accept the plan of the Lord. As simple as that. We will go on making plan B, plan C, plan D, like Hiranyakashipu. And which eventually will not make you happy, and eventually what you are accepting is that I'm not accepting Krishna as my master. Right? So, say for example, if you are serving someone and you are asking, can I do this? If that person say no, you cannot do it. That stops the conversation. Now you can say, oh, maybe I should, can I try the other way? No. No means no. So then making different plan means we are indirectly not assuming Krishna as our master. So gratitude is very important. So the seed of bhakti, the bhakti seed grows in the culture of gratitude. Like we have some plants which is supposed to be indoor, supposed to be in greenhouse, supposed to be outdoor, supposed to, there are some environment is provided for that plant to grow. Similarly, your environment of bhakti seed to grow is gratitude. If you have gratitude in your heart, then your bhakti can grow nicely. Unless until if there is no gratitude, then you will feel dryness in your bhakti. Because you don't have the content of feeling satisfied of what you got. And otherwise you will be hankering more, you will have plans, then you will go on in that path. So basically, that is also, if you are having plan B, plan C, that nothing but you're giving an opportunity for mental speculation. You're sprouting different kind of speculations. So we have to work hard, we have to desire, we put our effort, but we leave rest to Krishna. So this is our philosophy, that we have to do our part, our endeavor, the desire. Yes, we want to do many things for Krishna, no problem, but we have to leave rest to Krishna. One may say, how? How do we know that Krishna? So that's where it is recommended that we perform the principles of devotional service under the guidance of an authorized bona fide spiritual master who is a representative of the Supreme Lord. So we don't have any confusion in that regard, because you are accepting the bona fide spiritual master means that you are following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master. So then when you are engaging, when you are desiring, when you want to do, so you make plan. So in that regard, Prabhupada also explained that every devotee or a member of Krishna conscious should be independently thoughtful, at the same time subordinately serving. Now one may say, very contradiction in nature, that, so otherwise what we can do is, what we can explain is, within the realm of fencing where Prabhupada is there, we have to exercise our independent thoughtfulness, right? That means, like, for example, if you have a child or playing something, you leave the child in the park, but then you tell the child, there is a fence, don't go outside the fence. You can do whatever you want inside the fence. You have the freedom to do what inside the fence. Because why? When you go outside, you may hit by a car. Simple as that. So then, similarly, we have our guidelines of our Siddhanta, of Gaudiya Siddhanta, that Prabhupada has given a vision, Prabhupada has given, all this, and the Acharyas have given the programs for us. Within that, we can cultivate our own idea of spreading Krishna consciousness the way we wanted, but still under the guidance of authorities. So that's why we need to develop this kind of gratitude, this kind of mood, in order our bhakti to grow. So that is desire. Second, compare and doing austerity. So here if you see, Hiranyakashipu, first of all, compared his position with Brahma. He understood Brahma is the topmost of the living being, according to him, and most people think like that. But we know that Brahma is just a secondary creator. He is not the primary creator. And comparing him, he understood, okay, Brahma got this position by doing austerity. So let me do that. So this is one of the diseases of a mind, that we want to compare with someone. And performing austerity and meditation with wrong intention. So in our bhakti, for example, bhakti is simple. We hear a lot. Bhakti is easy, bhakti is simple. But application of bhakti is difficult. Whether you agree or not. We know, we say chant and be happy. But to chant attentively, to get up morning, to spend that, endeavor, that energy that I want to chant attentively, focus in our chanting, it takes some effort. It is not easy. So when you do that kind of austerity, when you do certain kind of extraordinary or going out of your comfort zone, you are going to attract people, or you may disturb some people. Example of this case, if you see Hiranyakashipu, when he started austerity, no one was bothered. But then when he is in the peak of his austerity, he disturbed the whole universe. Every single demigod knew that this guy is doing something. So they were going to Brahman asking. So our austerity in the process of bhakti going to get some recognition. There is no doubt about. But then how are you going? That should not fuel your wrong intention, or that should not fuel you to have puffed up personality or mentality. That should be your purification. You should always remember this, that any amount of austerity, any amount of penance, it's for my own purification. It is not for your recognition or fame. And you will get, in the path of bhakti, you will be recognized. There is no doubt. You stick along for some years, people will know you. People will come to you, people will recognize you, people will appreciate you, people will give rewards, fame, name, everything will be thrown at you. But then, how are you going to take it? Without proper understanding of what your position is, without proper understanding that this is just an instrument, we are just an instrument. Krishna says, Mam anusmara yuddhacha. You just think of me and do this activity, Arjuna. You are just an instrument. You are not doing it. Everything is decided, everything is done. You are just carrying out this activity on the basis of my order. Krishna says, this is Buddhi Yoga. Use your intelligence and do my order. And if you do that, that is Buddhi. You are the perfect way of using your intelligence, that you are executing the orders of the spiritual master in that case. So, that purification, how do we know that when we are performing bhakti? So, one may come with the wrong desire. As I said, in our bhakti, not everyone come to Krishna consciousness with a proper desire or proper understanding. Right? We come with certain kind of intention. Even Krishna says that karma mishra bhakti, jnana mishra bhakti, or yoga mishra bhakti. But then how do we correct ourselves? So maybe we may be having a wrong desire, but we still performing our austerity or engaging in the devotional service in bhakti yoga. You can only understand and purify when you have association of pure devotees. Simple as that. In the process of performing bhakti, the process is so potent that when you associate with pure devotees, that is serving the pure devotees. So Prabhupada says in the first canto that Bhagavat, there is two kinds of Bhagavat is there. One is book Bhagavat and personal Bhagavat. So a person Bhagavat is nothing but a representative of the book Bhagavat. But then when you serve the person Bhagavat, your inclination to hear about Krishna actually manifests in your heart. If you lack taste in hearing, taste in chanting, simple, serve a devotee. Serve the spiritual master, serve a pure devotee. We get so many people coming here. So we serve, when you serve, then you develop kind of affinity to hear and you develop the taste. And then when you serve the book Bhagavat, all that is disturbance, nasta prayeshu abhadreshu nityam Bhagavata sevaya. We read everyday Bhagavatam here. When we serve Bhagavatam, which is nothing but the manifestation of a pure devotee. When you read Bhagavatam, you're nothing but serving Srila Prabhupada, which is again a person Bhagavat. So in that case, when you serve the Bhagavat, either a person or the book, recommended book, person Bhagavat, then your heart get purified. You get taste for hearing, you get taste for chanting. Then you can see your heart, cheto darpana marjanam. You can, you know that is something happening within you. then your inclination for proper desire actually manifests. You will continue, because one may come with a wrong desire, and then once the desire gets fulfilled, then you will not continue bhakti. You will leave bhakti. Simple as that. Because my agenda is got over, then what? Take off, that's it. But then when you understand, when you're going through that process, and if you put little bit of sincerity in what you're doing, right? Just that, there are moments in our Krishna consciousness when we are engaged in Krishna consciousness. Maybe we are doing it as mechanical, but there are certain subtle moments that this will please Krishna. Or, you feel that you are humble, you are grateful. You are thinking, okay, this is for the pleasure of Krishna. That moment is, you need to fan that moment. You need to actually flame that. Because that is the like kind of a pilot switch for your purification. You want that to happen throughout your Krishna consciousness. So in the association, you get purified, even if you come with a wrong desire. But you perform the austerity. And don't compare that certain person is doing certain kind of austerity. It may not be applicable to your psychophysical nature. Some may be very physical, some may be very shastric, some may be very inclined to deity worship, some may be very cooking. So find your interest in Krishna consciousness, because we know we have Navavida Bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping. Not that, everyone is perfecting. We know certain devotees perfected in certain bhakti. Some hearing, okay, Parikshit Maharaj, glorifying Sukdev Maharaj. And there are 12 Mahajans. Why these people are there? Because they are not, okay, this person is doing everything. No, he is perfected in that area. Similarly, we should understand that there are certain things which I can do, certain things which I cannot do. And I'm appreciating the person who I cannot do is doing. So we should be able to cultivate and understand where is my nature or my dharma within my Krishna consciousness, and try to work on that so that you can able to be satisfied. This is the whole purpose of Varnashram, right? Varnashram is that they're trying to find your nature where you can able to work without any disturbance or agitation of the mind, so that you can focus on Supreme Lord. And you're gradually progressing to satisfy Vishnu. So similarly, we have to see that we don't have to compare the austerity of different devotees, and we are satisfied in whatever little bit of service we are doing to Krishna, and we will able to serve properly. That's our mood. Then the third point which I was thinking is satisfaction. Doesn't matter whatever you get in this world, you will be dissatisfied. Hiranyakashipu is the example. He got everything, everyone is under control, still what? He is dissatisfied. The greatest demon is dissatisfied. One may think, oh, demons are dissatisfied. But in the first canto you see, a greatest sage also dissatisfied, which is Vyasadeva. You can be a greatest demon or a greatest sage, you will be dissatisfied. Why? Because you have not cultivated properly glorifying the Supreme Lord. Simple. That means working or establishing or doing activities on the platform of the soul. The soul want to engage here, glorify the Supreme Lord. So dissatisfaction is guaranteed in this world. You will not be satisfied. Doesn't matter whether you conquer the whole world, or you are a great demon or a great sage, you are dissatisfied. So how the satisfaction comes? Satisfaction comes when you are engaging in devotional service. Yena atma supasidati. Right? Again, Bhagavatam, if you see. That which is satisfying the soul is when one engage in devotional service, pure devotional service. So acting as a servant in the devotional service is the only way you get satisfaction. Otherwise, you are not going to satisfy. You can have everything, the power, the position, wealth, control, whatnot, everything. But still, a person is lacking satisfaction in heart. Because he is not addressing who he is actually. So next is power. Power is powerful actually. The power has to be used for protection and not for exploitation. Because a person with power and without devotion will manhandle everyone. And of course, the nature of the power is to control. And there is no enjoyment without control. We heard recently also, Devat Maharaj was telling in the boat, that there is an element of control in every enjoyment. And the power is actually it is like, if you see, we use power to make someone subordinate. So then what? So that we can exploit, we can control, and we can derive pleasure out of that. So this is something which we need to understand. The power, why problem it will create problem is, we should not offend any living entity. Doesn't matter whether it's a devotee or not devotee. This is again one of the regulative principle of 64 items in devotional service. Rupa Goswami tells this is a primary thing which you should not do, that you should not put any living entity in anxiety or jiva aparad. Violence, even Prabhupada explained, what is the definition of violence? That you're putting a living entity into anxiety. That is violence. We should not do that. Why? Because it creates aparad. When you develop aparad, when you do aparad, you can clearly see that you will lose taste in bhakti. You will lose taste in chanting, service. You can, whenever you feel down or when you don't enthusiastic to do anything, you should understand that somewhere, something down the line, I have committed some offense to some living entity. So we should be regretful, remorseful, and seek forgiveness. This Narottam Das song, that if you say offend the Supreme Lord, then we got holy name, which will actually make us kind of recover program. But if you offend a devotee, then there is no recovery program. If you offend the Supreme Lord, then at least you can beg forgiveness. The Lord may be merciful, forgiveness. Even the holy name is merciful, forgive. But if you offend the devotee, then there is no forgiveness. The whole point, if you see Bhagavad Gita from a different perspective, Arjuna doesn't want to fight. The nature of a devotee is to forgive. He's saying, what is this? Position, wealth, doesn't matter. Let them have it. I'll become a beggar. But the whole point of Bhagavad Gita is because Krishna was not happy. Why? They have offended a devotee who is Arjuna. And the Lord is hell-bent that he wants to give back. How can you offend my devotee? This is the mood of Krishna. Arjuna is saying, okay, let us forgive. Let us give this whole thing. I'm going to forest. Just give the whole thing up. Let us compromise. No. Krishna said no. Even in fact, they offended Krishna. When Krishna went as a peace messenger, they tried to arrest Krishna. Krishna never bothered. They laughed. Krishna laughed and then finished. But then Krishna took it very serious when the Pandavas gone through so much of suffering, and Krishna decided, no, these guys has to be eradicated. So Krishna is like a farmer, perfect farmer, who want to pluck out all the weeds in the field. And he has decided, no, I've decided, Arjuna, whether you doing or not, Krishna is showing the universal form, saying past, present and future. In future he is showing every one of them, all are finished. Now you do the thing and you take credit. See, Krishna is so merciful also. He is giving the glorification. So why? Because the simple thing is, Krishna is not happy that someone offended his devotee. And he wants to give a befitting lesson to that person. So we don't want to be in that side where we are creating some kind of disturbance or offense to our devotees. So that power without devotion leads to manhandling. Worst case, make us very insensitive when we are doing. And also create division, groupism, everything comes. Every other byproduct manifest. Just having a power which is not used properly in the service of Krishna. So that's how the leader means he leads the path of bhakti. And one of the classic example from Nectar of Instruction we can see that one of the things which we have to do is sato vritti, that following the footsteps of the great acharyas. That we are following their whatever activities they have given in the Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada example, right, the morning program, reading, hearing, we do that. And the leader using the power so that to protect the people, the praja. This is again, if you see the starting of the 4th chapter, Krishna says that evam parampara praptam imam rajarisyo vidu, that I give this knowledge to the king. Why? Because the previous section, if you see, Krishna spoke about lust, which is the public enemy number 1. And this leader, the knowledge is given so that the leaders of the society has to protect the citizen from this public number 1, which is lust. And that's why Krishna is giving this knowledge to Rajarishi. Because the leaders have a responsibility to protect. So Kshatriya means to protect from hurt. What kind of? This is not just a physical thing, but a very subtle most thing of lust. So as a leader, we need to protect our dependents from this enemy called lust, anger, greed. And how? Simple. Perform bhakti, you develop all good qualities, and all these things are eradicated. So that is how we need to use the power in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, we will be like Hiranyakashipu, having the power. Next chapter is what? Terrorizing the universe. And last is that power and position, which is nothing but the real nature, which we read in the purport, is envy towards the Supreme Lord. See, these creeps, and we may not identify envy as like out and out in the initial stages of bhakti. The manifestation of envy is the final product, but then there are subtle which actually sprout in our heart. For example, this comes like when we see that someone getting recognition, or someone getting the mercy, or someone who is in the front line, or anything it can be. That's like if a couple of devotees are there, one is picked up for service, then the other person feel, why he? Why not me? So this mentality of what is projecting that I am better than other person, that is the next stage. That when we see that someone is getting, I am not getting, then what you feel is, why that person is getting? Am I not better than that person? So then that will creep, that develops a long time. Then we want to some or other compete with that person. I will show the world who I am better than that guy. So this then turn into jealous. Then comes the envy, then we want to hurt, then we want to put that person down. So all this comes, but then initially we should identify these weeds that we want to, we see why that person, why he is getting recognition, why he is getting service, why not me? I am also better, I can also do, give me a chance. Please understand, our acharyas, our philosophy, our siddhanta is servant of the servant of the servant. Right? We are not masters of the master. We are not in that mood. We are servant of the servant. Someone is doing the service, good service. We are not here to replace that person. And our mood is not that to replace or compete with that person. Our mood is that we assist the greatest person to do the job. He is doing it, we have to assist that person. Our great acharyas are everyone, are manjaris. Right? They are helping the greatest of the great devotees. They are not trying to compete and replace that person. That is not our mood. Our mood is not that, okay, this person is doing, I will also be like that person, I am also having the qualification. We are not applying for a job in the market where one job is there and then competing and we have interview. No, this is something different, dynamic. Spiritual life is not like this. Please understand. If someone is doing it, we should encourage, we should assist, we should give our energy to that person to support, right? Then that person is doing nicely. Otherwise, we will be in a most miserable situation. We are trying to replace each one of a person in every service. Someone is doing nice, we appreciate, we give our thing, we give our support. And this is how we are servant of the servant. We are working under and we are helping. And we are giving our time. And this comes by knowledge, simple. When we identify this weed, we should have a proper knowledge of the Shastra. We should have proper knowledge. We should understand the position of us. And we should understand that this mind, mind like makes you hell actually, and we should subdue the mind, give proper knowledge, devotion, and do menial service. Make humble. If you think you are great, go nothing, no problem, go for book distribution. Simple. Go for book distribution. Or give some, serve prasadam. Sunday feast, serve prasadam, clean, divide prasadam. We can find menial service, clean the courtyard. But what then we think, this is amazing, the mind, even though you do menial service, at least one person in the congregation should know that you have done that. It's like, there also we want to recognition and we want to, at least one person should know that, I don't want to do, but I will do menial service when there is many people are there. When there are many people seeing. So some or other, this kind of subtle and this thing we need to pluck it. We should not trim it, we should pluck it. So this comes when we are really hearing, proper sadhana. This all will manifest when we understanding our own anarthas. Work on our anarthas, introspect, and do something. So that's why, we have to remain and force ourselves, cultivate humble, menial, devotional, loving devotional service. So this is envious, we need to eradicate. So we saw the desire, we saw the comparing and doing austerity, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, power, then position, then envious nature of the Lord. So I'll stop here and see if anyone has any correction or a question, comments on what we discussed today. Okay. Yes.
You were talking about gratitude, how do you cultivate that even? Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yes, you were talking about how to cultivate that, how to apply it in there, because you go through so much, up downs in life, and sometimes you forget. So how do you?
One way you can cultivate gratitude is comparing your position now before 10 years back. Just rotting in the street. Every jiva was roaming 14 planetary system, isn't it? Brahmanda, Brahmita, Konabai, Jivan. Yes, like going. Imagine our position. Someone has taken an interest which we don't want. Causeless mercy. By the causeless mercy of a devotee and Krishna, that we got this seed. Someone has taken interest and someone has voluntarily pushed down our throat, literally. We didn't come for this. I didn't sign up for this. Really. I really didn't come to Australia for this. Right? Every one of us. We are not Sukdev Goswami, just born and go to, walk naked and towards the Supreme Lord. No. We were just rotting. We were rotting. We were like going down only. But some or other, some people have taken, some devotees, the mercy of a spiritual master as given to us. So we should appreciate that. That's how we develop gratitude. When you compare your position, your greatest position. Yesterday I was speaking in a session that one of the things that devotional service, the purity of devotional service, okay? And one of the point in that is, devotional service is not dependent on one's birth. It's independent of one's birth. Now, we might say, okay, fine, this is the point. We have a situation where we know temple where people who are not born in India are not allowed. And I know these are all Vaishnava temples. And I know another temple, one time I went there, I was sitting for prasad with another few brahmacharis, and no one was there in prasadam hall, and then one person from the kitchen, he was running and came and shouting on us in a local language. Basically he's saying, you are not supposed to enter this prasadam hall, this is only for Brahmins. You should go somewhere. Right? And when we look at the history of Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, when they say it's not dependent on birth, but people who come in Nityananda Vamsa, Chaitanya Vamsa, they were claiming this devotional service is a sole rightful property of them. It's called Jati Gosai or Goswami lineage. That this devotional service is only belong to us. No one should practice. Suppose, imagine, if you are chanting and if I am giving chanting and if I ask you a goodwill, copyright issue, and I take it from you. If you come in the start of the temple, they ask, okay, what caste you are, where you are born, what is your parents, what is your qualification? Can you give your resume? Can you tell about yourself? You have to apply expression of interest for devotional service. We will go through your file. Then when you are eligible, we will invite you to chant Hare Krishna. How do you feel? Suppose when we have this curfew in COVID time, that time you understand the value of going out. So if you want to really understand freedom, you should ask the freedom fighters. They know what is the importance of having a freedom. So we may not, because why I'm saying is, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, who fought fearlessly for this, he was giving to everyone, doesn't matter. He was giving, whichever born, you are a Malecha, you are a Chandala, you are a dog eater, no problem. Anda, Pulinda, whatever, in Bhagavatam give the list of, Malechas and everything, doesn't matter. Chant. You take Krishna, I will give you. So what happened? The others, they plotted. So in Navadip Parikrama, when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was going, so they plotted a scheme where they had a gang or a mafia gang to kill Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj. And they went to a police station and they gave some 25,000 or 2 lakhs, some money to police officer, saying that you just, don't get involved this, we're going to finish him off. True story. And then that police officer went to Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, said, we are bad, we know that we are bad, but this is extreme, so take care of yourself. Not only there, in Vrindavan, everywhere Maharaj go, they shut the temple. You've been to Vrindavan? Imagine you coming to here, Melbourne temple here, and I shut the door. And I check your, community certificate, which caste you are, where you're born. How do you feel? Not only that, they shut the door for every devotee, then they started throwing stones at them. Okay, I'll come to that question. I'm just finishing that. So then, if you see, then that point, when you go deep, that bhakti is not dependent on the birth, obviously you feel grateful. Because we think it's granted. Arey what, yeah, this is available, today is not there, tomorrow prasadam is there. This life is not there, that's okay. Anyway, holy name is potent. We saw the case of Ajamil. Because we think, because it's given in a golden platter for us. Refined, like someone, give the sugarcane juice, like that. I don't know. But then, if you have to harvest, if you have to plant sugarcane, if you have to harvest sugarcane, and if you have to crush sugarcane, and then have juice, then there's a lot of pain there. Right? So similarly, when it's given like that to us, we think it's granted. It is everywhere available. Everyone is available. No, boss, this is not available. 70 years back, this was not available. This was fought for it. Someone has fought for this. Someone has built this. Someone has put a lot of sweat and energy and got this place. Someone has done so much of trouble. Someone has gone to jail for this. So when we read, when we know, then you develop gratefulness, because this is not given just like that. This is so what I should do? At least I should be grateful. I don't have to replicate this. I cannot do this, but at least grateful. Someone has done this. Someone has cooked a feast for me. So at least develop grateful. So when you know this background, then you know. When you compare with the history, you know. When you compare personal history, you know. You have to be grateful. So coming to that, when when people are having that kind of mentality and kind of sickness, basically they are acting out of ignorance. So a foolish person is acting. So for us, whatever instruction or heavy, we should take it for ourselves. We should not project on others. So like for example, you have to be humble. Now we cannot say to that person who is acting foolishly, you should be humble to everyone, you should treat everyone nice. No, this is for us. Okay, any situation, I have to be humble. Okay, thank you. So like that, there are people who always you will come across, they will try to put you down. Or they will not treat you the way you wanted. But that's a lesson for us, that we should not be repeating the same mistake. Or that's a lesson that we should be able to humble ourselves. So because then we'll avoid so much of after effect, or if you fighting with a foolish person, it's not going to go anywhere. We just developing anger for ourselves only. So, is that okay? Is that what your question is? Can you reframe your question again? Maybe I...
Because when you were saying that, I was just thinking as you said, many temples in India, they have that Vaishnavas, and in their kitchen, if you touch something, if you touch the water they're drinking, then they'll say it's impure. They have so much contradiction, and they won't accept anything that's given, even if it's prasad. If it's touched, then they'll be like, no, you made it impure, that very typical mentality, and they will dominate a lot as well. So I was just thinking, that's why I asked you that.
So we have to see that the certain rules and regulation followed, keeping as a purpose or the intention of why you are following. So for us, following the rules and regulation, our whole thing is that you always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Of course, in our preaching movement, we are, there are certain institutions where they are very strict, and they don't give that's why I said, they don't give a chance to everyone to come on board. Then what happened? Then they have a clear discrimination on the basis of birth, or a basis of caste, or basis of many things. So that is not there, luckily. So in our by birth it's not dependent. And then Mahaprabhu is saying that not only you become a devotee, you can become a guru if you follow this, because anyone who knows signs of Krishna, he can become a guru. So it's it's available to everyone, basically. So in that way, we should be grateful that we are coming in a proper, most merciful, fortunate Gaudiya Vaishnavism, where a Jagai Madai, what qualification they have, and they become a pure devotee. So this thing makes us, feel so transparent. That's what I feel. Because suppose there is a place of discrimination, the person who is on the top, he get puffed up and proud. But then the person who is at the bottom, he get humiliated, or he get, really feel bad. Why you're doing this kind of untouchability and things like that. But in our case, every one of a devotee can vouch, and as a personal example, we were on that level and we are here. Now we don't want to do the same mistake of looking down someone at that level down. That's what we should not do. Because we were, at one point we were there. And that we should help. So like Prabhupada, when he went to US, he was sharing a fridge with some Karmi people. He was sharing accommodation with some Karmi people. He never had that feeling that of course he's a great Acharya, founder, but then when he's dealing with that kind of people who are rotting literally in the street, he will never had a feeling that I am so great. What Prabhupada did, he cooked for them, he fed them, and finally he washed the utensils of them. Now, if you see that is the example set by our Acharya, then we should be very proud. This is a glorious master we have, where he personally showed how to treat someone in that level, so much of compassion. So when we have that kind of compassion, then really you want to help that person. Now again, when you make that person to that level, it's up to them whether they want to continue to perform devotional service or go back to that. So we have seen in our movement that many people from that level of lower consciousness, they have made into gurus, sannyasis, many devotees, great level, they have done great thing. But now again, they didn't continue that process of devotional service. What happened? They went back to that level. So then we should not repeat the mistake. That's what I would say. Okay? Yeah, last question.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you mentioned how every devotee needs to be independently thoughtful and also at the same time subordinate be a subordinate servant. Do you mind just elaborating on that? Maybe giving like a practical example of what that looks like?
So basically we want to preach. That's a broader sense. Now you may have a different idea of preaching. Maybe you want to make some cookies and give it to people. You can check with the authority. If they say okay, do it. You can exercise. There's 100 ways of you can do preaching or prasad distribution or book distribution. Right now, the initial days they were doing book distribution in a certain way. Now we have different forum of doing book distribution, right? Someone down the line, someone has started that. Now they're doing hotel, or they're doing in the streets, then they're doing in the, we have a book table. So similarly, when we have certain kind of thoughtfulness of independent, it has to be under the big umbrella. We are not basically we are not diversing completely. So that should be avoided. So that's why it has to be within the big umbrella of ISKCON, and then we are producing this independent way of doing, Because if you act totally, then you are going against the authority, right? And then if you are doing yes sir, that is a sheep mentality. So submissive serving, an inquiry is also given, right? You are submissive, serving, but then you are in inquiry, right? If suppose some, like spiritual master saying, you have to do that. Yes, I will do that. Then you have to ask, right? Spiritual master, can I do like this? Can we explore like that? It's nothing wrong. That's your independence of asking question and getting clarification and, clearing all the doubts. But then that's done in a submissive way, not in an argumentative way or not in a challenging way, right? So that comes under the bigger umbrella. But then your thought is put in that to make sure the service is done properly. So similarly, every service you can see, whatever service you are doing, they give you the portfolio, right? Opportunity is there, plenty. So that's why Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada said, one of the main reason of creating so many projects is that to engage everyone in Krishna service. Not everyone is able to chant all day, and think about Krishna. Not. So then we have to create project. So then that has to be in line with the acharyas. We cannot have radical, like someone, Prabhupada will go to pub and distribute. Prabhupada said, make sure you come back. Like some things when devotee is clarified. So many things, they have started a political party also. I remember. Then we did that. Here also, they were selling so many articles, painting, incense, stickers, so many things, right? But it has to be on either one's guru or the parallel authority of temple president, GBC, whoever is engaging. So we check with them. So we have our portfolio, to work out. But then within that, we can inquire and make sure, okay, fine, then do it. Yeah. You want to add something? Dvija want to add something? Question? Okay.
Last question.
Last.
You mentioned, so this verse says about, and you mentioned about how even if we get the best of the things in this world, we will still not be satisfied.
Yeah.
And we see the example of Hiranyakashipu, that he's getting the best of everything and he's still not satisfied.
Yeah.
But for us, we may think that maybe not even that much, but even a fraction of that, if we get, then we will do it differently, So maybe he was not happy, but I will be happy with getting that or even a little bit of that. So how do we deal with that?
Krishna will fulfill your desire. By the way, you need to be cautiously desiring. Because whatever, because we have to carry the desire and then we chant and then Krishna will manifest that, But Krishna also knows that certain devotee gets something and they use in Krishna service, Krishna give more. Right? And then we desire, Krishna is not giving, we should understand that it may not help us in Krishna consciousness. Simple as that. Then we should be satisfied with what we have. Nothing wrong in desire, but then if you're not getting, then don't have anxiety. Move on. Maybe Krishna have a better plan. And also it is in the when we do get things in the process of bhakti, right? But it is difficult also. Sometimes, we are employing or engaging everything in the service of Krishna. We talk about that, but it's a challenging actually. Because you are dealing with material things, material and contaminations happen. So better be careful and cautious of what we desire. And if we use in Krishna service, well and good, Krishna can give more. If not, then we should have a thing, okay, this is not helping me to be Krishna conscious. And obviously, if you're not getting, then be happy. Maybe not this lifetime. That's it. Maybe next life, Krishna will give. Krishna says, right? Next life, you will take birth in an aristocratic family or a big, well-settled family. You will have everything. And problem, you may not have bhakti. So, okay, we'll stop here. Gandhra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.